There are moments in life where manifestation feels really easy. It's like the moments where the signs are just flowing and things are clicking into place and synchronicities are everywhere. Almost kind of like it feels that the universe is wrapping its arms around you. That's what it feels like to me when things are just feeling easy. And then there are other moments, the moments where almost nothing makes sense, where the prayer feels unanswered, or where the timeline stretches longer than your nervous system wants it to, or you feel you have the capacity for. It's those moments where your mind just starts spiraling and you're trying to control and you're trying to predict, forescript, manipulate, trying to really have control over reality because what you want is certainty. And this is where bitachon, trust, begins. It's not when everything is working out and not when you already have the relationship or the money or the healing or the clarity. Bitachon, that's Hebrew for trust. It's that space between. It's the unknown. It's the void where you're being asked to trust what you cannot yet see. And so today I want to talk about trust. I mean, real trust, what it really is, how to really truly embody it and not just spiritually bypass it, not pretend you're okay when you're actually feeling terrified inside, right? Not slapping everything happens for a reason onto your pain while your body is still in survival. I want to talk about the kind of trust that actually transforms a person from the inside out. The kind of trust that regulates one's nervous system. The kind of trust that allows you to loosen your grip on control, let go of the steering wheel just a little bit to allow spirit, God, the divine, into the driver's seat so that you can let go, come along for the ride, enjoy the view. Right? It's the kind of trust that Kabbalah speaks about when it uses the word bitachon. Okay? Because bitachon is not passive. It is not sit back and do nothing. It is not a goal that once you reach ultimate trust, you have it forever. No, and it's also just not blind optimism. That's not what it is. Bitachon is a deeply embodied relationship with life itself. And knowing that, even when you cannot see the full picture, right? There is still intelligence moving through your path if you embody bitachon, right? Even the delay turns into something sacred that you know is unfolding for you. That you know that your fear is not the ultimate authority on reality. That's what I'm talking about here, accessing a deeper, like somatic layer of knowing, of trusting, of surrendering. And honestly, I think this is one of the deepest spiritual initiations a human being can go through, like the deepest, right? To be able to trust after disappointment, to trust after heartbreak, to trust when your nervous system wants certainty right now, to trust when your manifestation, your deepest longing, your deepest desire has not arrived yet and you've been waiting years. Right? Or to trust when your ego is screaming at you that if you don't control everything, then everything's going to fall apart, right? Because so many of us say we want surrender. So many of my clients, they're like, yeah, that I want to surrender. And I get it. Right? But what we actually want is guaranteed outcomes. And those are not the same thing. Surrender and guaranteed outcomes. So in this episode, I want to explore what trust actually is from a spiritual, somatic, psychological, and Kabbalistic perspective. And I want to talk about why trust feels hard for the human nervous system. I want to talk about how control becomes a trauma response. I also want to talk about why surrender is not weakness and how to actually surrender. What does it actually mean to surrender? Right? And also how trust may actually be one of the greatest manifestation frequencies that we can embody. Because sometimes the miracle is not that life finally gives you what you want. Sometimes the miracle is that you become someone who can breathe before the miracle even arrives. So let's jump in. Becoming a co-creator with the Creator is your birthright. Together, we'll journey into your deepest authenticity, Because the more you align with who you truly are, the more effortlessly you call in the life that you desire and deserve. And most importantly, the more you step into your soul's highest purpose. Welcome to the Manifestation Method podcast, your number one source for Kabbalistic manifestation. Here we combine the ancient wisdom of Kabbalah, modern psychology, and quantum physics to help you achieve real, tangible manifestation results with my proven Abra method. I'm Ayelet Polonsky, and I'm here to guide you on your journey of manifesting a life that is aligned, expansive, and deeply connected to your highest self through the sacred energetic mechanics of Kabbalistic manifestation. To learn how to use Kabbalistic manifestation to transform your life from the inside out, go to ayeletpolonsky.com or download the Manifestation Method app. Let's open the gates of manifestation together. Alrighty, welcome back, beautiful humans. You are listening to the Manifestation Method podcast, and I am so glad you're here, whether you're in your car or you're on a walk, or you're doing your dishes, or you're pretending to be at work. Wherever you are, I see you and I love you. And if you are one of those who are pretending to be at work and are choosing to listen to this episode instead, I am honored. Just don't tell your boss about me. Okay, just kidding. So today we're talking about trust. And, before you go, Ayelet, I've heard this one before. Everyone talks about trust. I'm just going to ask you to hang on, right? Because I am not talking about trust in the, soft, fluffy, woo-woo, warm, inspirational quote that you see on the back of a bumper sticker type of way. That's not what we're doing here today. I am talking about trust as a living, breathing, active, embodied practice, a practice, right? Trust as a spiritual technology, as something that your nervous system has to actually learn how to do because it was not born knowing how. Okay, so here's where I want to start, because I think we have been fundamentally misdefined on what trust even is. We've never been taught the actual definition, right? When most of us think about trust, in God, in the universe, in life, in ourselves, whatever, we kind of think of it as a state, like a state of being, like either you have it or you don't. Or like it's something that just kind of descends on you. Like one day you wake up and you're just chill, surrendered, floating peacefully down the river of life. And if you don't feel that way, right? If you're anxious, or if you're like gripping onto the steering wheel of life, or if you're, refreshing your email 14 times before you've even had your morning coffee, then clearly you don't have enough trust yet, right? That's kind of the narrative we've been sold. Clearly you're failing at that spiritual thing, is what we've been convinced about ourselves. And so can I just say that this framing has caused so much unnecessary suffering? Because here's what I think nobody's telling us, and that is that trust is not passive. It is not passive. Trust is not the absence of action. Trust is not collapsing into a heap and going to yourself, well, whatever happens, happens. No, that's not trust. I think that's like, well, how would I describe that? That's just, that's dissociation with good PR. But real trust, Bitachon, which is the Hebrew Kabbalistic word for it, and we're going to get into that, right? Real trust is one of the most active things you can do, right? In fact, one of my teachers says that faith, trust, is a verb. It requires constant moment-to-moment choice. It requires you to override every alarm bell your nervous system is firing. And it requires you to take the next step, even if you can't see or feel the ground beneath your foot. And that is not passive, my friends. That is radically courageous. Right? One of my most beautiful ceremonial songs, there's a line that says, "Fear is just courage becoming known." Right? So beautiful. Okay, so let's talk about bitachon for a second, because I find this concept so delicious and I want to share it. So In Kabbalistic and Hasidic teachings, Bitachon is often translated as trust or confidence in God. But the deeper teachers, right, and especially some that I've learned through the Baal HaBitachon and then later like Hasidic masters and the Baal Shem Tov, they describe Bitachon in a way that kind of like stopped me in my tracks before I first encountered it, right? Because again, it's not something we're born learning unless you're one of those lucky few whose parents like indoctrinated you into like total faith and trust from the day you were born. Right? But what the masters say is that bitachon is not just believing that God can help you, right? Plenty of people believe God is capable, right? God is infinite possibility, right? That's emuna. That's faith, right? Faith is like that deep knowing. It's a belief that God is in control, right? But bitachon is kind of like a step beyond that. Right? How I like to think of bitachon is it is the active certainty. Active is the key word. Active certainty that God is right now in this situation working on your behalf and then taking the necessary actions to show that you are embodying that knowing. Right? So like a line that I love that I often share is trust or bitachon is embodied faith, right? Faith is the knowing and bitachon is proving that you know in your actual actions. So how do you feel? How do you behave after you get fired from your job? How do you feel and behave after you get broken up with, right? So, and here's the part that really, that I love is that the Kabbalistic teachers say that when you practice bitachon, when you genuinely embody it, you actually create the vessel for the good to come through for you, right? So it's almost like such a manifestation frequency if you think about it, like by embodying and acting and behaving in a way that feels like trust in your body, no matter what the circumstance. In fact, especially when the circumstances go south, right? You're actually turning yourself into a vessel that creates space for blessing to come through. So it's like your trust is not just a response to reality, but it actually shapes your reality, right? So the way I think of it is like your trust comes first and then the evidence comes after, right? Let's say that again, because that's deep and it's important. The trust comes first, the evidence comes after, right? And now I know that might make your logical brain twitch just a little. It did for mine too, but like stay with me because this is actually backed up by things that we understand about energy, about coherence, about how the nervous system works. And we'll get there. Let's get there. All right. So first let's bring in some Jewish wisdom because, I love that. All right, so I'll tell you about one of my favorite moments that I believe really embodies bitachon in all of human history. And I know this is like a big claim, but I don't know, this story just does something to me every single time because I see myself in this story and it starts to like weave its way into my cells in a way that's just like, okay, so let me just jump in because I can go on so many tangents. But all right, so the Israelites are leaving Egypt. They're leaving Mitzrayim, and just to paint the picture, okay, so just visualize this. These are people who have been enslaved for over 400 years. That's a long time. That's many. I'm talking generational trauma doesn't even begin to cover it, right? Their nervous systems, their children's nervous systems, their children's nervous systems are wired for captivity, all wired for survive, endure, don't make waves, right? That's how they are programmed. Like a computer gets programmed, like that is their way of being. And then suddenly, snap your finger, suddenly they're free, But here's the thing that nobody talks about enough. They left Egypt without a plan. There wasn't a plan. They didn't know what they were doing, where they were going. They didn't have a 5-year roadmap. They didn't have a destination locked into a GPS, right? They didn't have a survival guide for the wilderness. No. These people who are hardwired for slavery are often given their ticket to freedom and they don't even know where that freedom is meant to take them, right? All they had was unleavened bread that didn't even have time to rise, the famous matzah, right? Because there wasn't even time to wait. That's how instantaneous their ticket to freedom was. That is a number on one's nervous system, right? They stepped out into the desert, into the unknown, with nothing but the instruction from God or Moses, right? Go. Just go. And the Kabbalistic commentaries point out something really, I think, extraordinary about this moment. Hi, Ayelet here. I just wanted to pop in and say I am so excited to officially introduce the Manifestation Method portal, membership, and app. This is your home for all things Kabbalistic manifestation. You'll get access to my monthly live workshops, soul deep hypno activations and attunements, all of our manifestation courses, and our global community of manifestors. And the best part? It's just $26 a month. That's less than a latte a week. Come manifest alongside me and start creating the life you desire and deserve. Head over to ayeletpolonsky.com to join us. Right, so the sea did not split before they walked toward it. It wasn't like, here's the red carpet, come walk all over. Come walk through. No, the sea only split when Nachshon, he was one man, one person, he walked into the sea, right? Mind you, they were being chased by the Egyptians, so imagine the scene, like the sea is in front of you, right? And you look back and your enemy is behind you, coming at you with spears, and there's literally nowhere for you to go. Okay, and so in that moment, Nachshon walks into the sea up to his nose, right? The water was literally at his nostrils. When by any rational calculation, it was already too late, right? Like, what are you going to do? We're drowning. We're done. We're dead. But that's the moment the miracle happened. It didn't happen when it was safe, and it didn't happen when it made sense, and it didn't happen when they all had enough information about how to navigate their escape. When he committed fully, with no guarantee of outcome, the reality around him and the Jewish people literally reorganized itself, right? It was the moment he took a leap of faith, not knowing what the next step would be, but just knowing that that there is divine guidance here. That's when reality reorganizes around you. I mean, I've seen this in my own personal life so many times, right? And so I have to sit with this, because how many of us are standing at the edge of our own sea, waiting for it to split before we take the step? Right? How many of us are saying, no, I'll trust when I see it works out? Or how many of us are getting caught up in the monkey mind and looping around trying to figure out how it's all meant to go? Right? So that's not trust. That's just observation or chronic control or fear. Right? Trust is the step you take before the split. Okay? And now, life right now, especially astrologically, there's so much going on where we're all, I know some of you listening right now can relate. We're kind of exhausted. We're not just a little tired, but we're soul tired. It's like the kind of tired that sleep doesn't fix. We've been in a portal. Things have been moving and shaking, and we're being asked to make big decisions, new decisions, decisions that rupture old systems, old identities, and so some of you are not exhausted because life is hard. You're exhausted because your nervous system believes that it has to hold the entire universe together in order for you to be safe. And so I invite you to sit with that for a second. Maybe you've been gripping or controlling, monitoring, managing. Maybe you've been anticipating every possible bad outcome so that you can prevent it before it even happens. So it's like you have been a full-time emergency response system for years, maybe decades. And nobody told you or taught you how to put it down, but you can put it down. And I'm saying you can put it down, not because by putting it down, it means it's going to be perfect, not because nothing hard will ever happen, but because you were never meant to be the one holding it together. That was just not your job. That job belongs to something much larger than you, right? Call it God, source, the universe, divinity, life itself. And it is very good at its job, especially, especially when you let go, right? It is very at its job when you stop feeling, thinking, behaving that it's all up to you. All right. So I want to get a little nerdy with you actually because I like to go there, but I'm going to be like lovingly nerdy. I won't be mean because I think understanding why trust is hard, like physically and neurologically, it can actually make it easier to practice trust. Right. So here's the thing. When most of us have been through hard things, and most of us, if not all of us, we have, right? Our nervous systems begin to learn a particular lesson. And the lesson is good things end, safe things become unsafe, and what I love gets taken away. And so what happens is the nervous system, right, being the genius, adaptive, survival machine that it is, it starts to brace against good things. It really starts to anticipate the collapse inside of the expansion, right? Or it starts to feel suspicious that things could actually be easy and graceful. And so what it does is it starts to sabotage the things that it can't really compute as sustainable. And so this is why some of us, when things are going really well, we suddenly pick a fight with our partner, or we start to catastrophize, or we get sick right before a really big win, or we unconsciously shrink an opportunity back down to a size that actually feels safe and familiar. And that's not weakness. You're human. We're human, all of us. And it's when I say sabotage, it's not even sabotage in like the malicious sense. What it is it's your nervous system doing what it was programmed to do. Programmed to protect you from the devastation of another loss by not letting you fully receive that potential loss in the first place. Right? So this system that we have is very intelligent, and its role, what it's trying to do ultimately is good because it's trying to keep you safe. Right? But here's what's so wild about this. In order to trust, in order to practice bitachon, you have to teach your body, not just your mind, but your body, that receiving is safe. That expansion is survivable. That you can hold more than you've held before and not be destroyed by it. This is embodied spiritual work. It's not just a mindset shift. This is deeply somatic. This lives in your shoulders and your jaw and the way you hold your breath right before something good happens. And it takes practice. It takes real, gentle, patient, consistent practice, right? I mean, like, this is the reason why inside the manifestation method membership, it's like I have like 6-week transformation portals, courses, because it's not just a flip the switch in the brain. I get it. I had my aha moment and now I'm transformed forever. No, it's like we have to go deep, deep, deep into the nervous system, into the neural pathways, into what's been programmed and patterned for our whole lives, and start to unravel that ball of yarn and create spaciousness so that we learn a new way of being. And that can take time, right? So this is the part where everything kind of comes together. And I want to be really clear that I'm not talking about giving up. I'm not talking about going limp. I'm not talking about becoming passive or indifferent or not caring anymore. I'm talking about coherence. So in a heart math research, and this is actual science, it's not just woo-woo, what I've learned or what they've shown is that when the heart and brain are in coherence, when you're in a state of genuine positive emotion, when you're in genuine trust, when you're in genuine openness, then your actual electromagnetic field, right? The vibration, the energy, the field around you and within you, it changes. Like measurably, we've measured this. And so the signal your body broadcasts into space, into the quantum, it actually begins to shift according to your electromagnetic field, right? According to your vibration, according to your energy, you know? And so here's what Kabbalah mirrors that actually. But when the mystics talk about how when a person is in a state of bitachon, right? Real trust, embodied trust, not just performative trust. what happens is you become a kli, you become a vessel. They become receptive in a way that allows abundance and clarity and connection and synchronicity, allows all that to flow through them rather than having to be forced or manufactured. And so you stop being a closed fist trying to grab what you need, and you become an open hand, actually able to receive it. And so I invite you to really think about that, feel the difference in your own body right now, right? So make a fist, squeeze really hard, just do it with me, squeeze, feel your whole body responding to making a tight, tight, tight fist, right? That's the energy of control, of fear, of I have to make this happen. It's all up to me, right? And now gently open your hand, let your palm face up. Notice how that feels different. Notice the openness in your chest. Notice your breath. I like to think of the line that we recite as Jews. Potech et yadecha umaspia lekol chai ratzon. Open your hands and he grants you your deepest desires. He grants you your will. But it requires open hands. It requires a receptivity. It requires a surrender. It requires deep embodied trust and bitachon. This is coherence, my friends. This is the frequency of trust. And things energetically move and flow towards open hands in a way they cannot move towards closed fists. And this is not just magic thinking. This is physics. This is biology. This is thousands of years of mystical wisdom. And it has been confirmed again and again by people who went deep enough into the practice to actually experience it. And so surrender does not mean you become passive. It means you become magnetic. And so here's what I want to leave you with today. Trust is a practice. It's not a feeling that you either have or don't. It's not a destination that you arrive at. It's a practice, like yoga. You don't do yoga one time and call yourself a yogi. You do yoga your entire life and you're still calling it a practice, even if you've been doing it for 80 years, right? So it is a practice. It is daily, sometimes hourly, sometimes minute by minute. It's you returning to the decision that you are held and divinely guided, that the universe is not indifferent to you, that the sea will split, is already splitting, and your job is to keep walking towards it. Right? So Bitachon is not the reward for the brave. It is the path, the journey of the brave. Right? And so the Israelites, your ancestors in spirit, whether you share their lineage or not, they didn't leave Egypt having figured it all out. No, the opposite. They left trusting the next step, trusting the move, trusting the provision that appeared in real time, the manna from heaven, or what I call manifestation, right? The water from a rock, the column of fire by night, the column of cloud by day, or all of the miracles, the guidance came with the movement, not before it. And so if you've been waiting to feel ready or to feel certain or to feel safe before you take the next step toward your life, I would love to gently, lovingly, with every ounce of care that I have for you and for myself, to tell you and tell myself that the step itself is the signal. And your willingness is the invitation. And you are so much more held than you know. So take a deep breath, open your hands, put one foot in front of the other. The sea is already moving in your favor. Trust that. Alrighty, I love you all so much. Thank you for being here. Thanks for listening. Thanks for trusting me with your ears and with your hearts. If this episode hit something in you, please share it with someone who needs it. Pay it forward. Leave this podcast a review. Leave a comment. I love hearing from you all. Thank you so much. And I will see you in the next episode. Here's to your rising. Enjoyed this episode, let's keep the conversation going inside the Manifestation Method Portal app, your #1 destination for Kabbalistic manifestation. Inside, you'll unlock the secrets of manifestation through my proven Abra method, rooted in Kabbalah, psychology, and quantum physics, designed to help you manifest real, tangible results from the inside out. Join our global community of manifestors, explore our signature courses, monthly live manifestation workshops with me, Ayelet, and access our transformational hypno activations and attunements to rewire limiting beliefs and align with your soul's purpose. The app is available now on the Apple App Store and Google Play. To sign up, head over to ayeletpolonsky.com. Becoming a co-creator with the Creator is your birthright. Let's manifest the life you desire and deserve together.